And hello, everybody. Welcome into another episode of Running Wednesdays. This is episode 3 with Coach Rick Sypert next to me, like he is every week. We have very special guests with us today. Below me, you have Blake Baker from Canfield. And then below Coach Sype, we have Brock Farris from Boardman. Some rivals that are going to be teammates in the future. Joining us today, and these were special requests. We had a lot of people say you got to get Brock and Blake on the show. So guys, thank you so much for coming on and joining us.
Thanks for having us.
So
What he said.
my first question, and whoever wants to answer it first can go. What's it like competing with each other now, but knowing you're going to be teammates in college?
All right,
Or you could go, Blake.
So obviously we're competing against each other right now. We've been competing against each other since middle school, pretty much, but knowing we're gonna be teammates next year is really exciting to me. And us competing against each other right now set up a good rivalry and good team chemistry for next year at YSU.
Yeah, we've always been like racing next to each other for years and years. So it's really cool to see someone who you've been running with for pretty much in my entire running career, and you can finally team up other than being rivals. Because like I run with them like all the time. Like we'll go for like an easy run or something together. Like we'll bond sometimes. We'll go places together. But like actually being on a team, it's gonna be a whole different and fun thing.
Well, it's good stuff, guys. Can you guys talk a little bit about your decisions to end up at YSU together? Did you guys collaborate for the decision, or was it just something that you wanted to do all by yourself?
When
Alright.
when I saw him commit, it kind of helped me like want to go there. Because he's been pushing me for a while now. I've been racing him. We've had some great races in the past. And just seeing him commit, it's like, all right, I know for sure that I'm going to have a good teammate that I know I could run with and someone I could train with and help me get a lot better.
Alright, so funny story actually. I went on during the summer. I went on an overnight visit to YSU and got to see some of the team and the coaches. But Brock was on a visit with me, and it really stuck in the back of my head. In like the weeks preceding that when I visited and before I committed, I was always thinking to myself like, I just committed. What are the other people gonna do now that I committed? Will they be more motivated to join or just leave? And I always thought about Brock because he lives really close to me, and I've been running against him since middle school, and I was really hoping he'd join us at YSU because not only be a great addition to like the team in terms of talent, but like I've known him like since middle school, and it really helped the team in like our chemistry.
My question is, no matter what sport you're playing, we know the recruiting process is always stressful, trying to decide where you're going to go and put yourself out there to a lot of coaches. And now that decision's been made, how much easier did that make your senior year, knowing that you don't have to impress people anymore? It's all about just going and running and making your teams, respective teams, the best you can make them. We'll start with Blake this time and then go to Brock.
I was told that during the recruiting process, like your junior year is the most important because senior year, kind of all set in stone on where you're going. The top recruits are already gone, like early in the recruiting process. I committed really early, like earlier than most people do, but that's because I was really certain I was going to YSU because I really clicked with the coaches and the team, the fact that it's close to home, the apartments, what I was going to school there for. Like once I committed like super early in like the recruiting process, it took a lot of stress out of me knowing that I was going to YSU and didn't have to like keep visiting colleges and talking to coaches and just like removing all the added stress of choosing a college. Just was really nice to get that out of the way.
Yeah, it feels so good that it's all done with. Because like last year and cross country this year, I was just focused on, wow, I need to get a big PR to impress colleges. And now, like, it's more of like a process other than just PRing now. I'm more preparing for like state, regionals, all that. So instead of focusing on like getting like, oh, a big PR now, I'm focusing on like, wow, I could run 3 or 4 events now and they'll all help me get better. for later in the season. Like I don't need a big PR anymore to impress anyone. So it feels really nice that I could just prepare for the future instead of worrying about now and PRing now.
Good stuff, guys. Hey, so let's talk about the training process a little bit here. You guys say you run together with your easy runs, even some long runs there. Let's talk about how we have our favorite workouts or workouts that we really just don't like to do just because they're so difficult. Can you guys run us through some of your favorite workouts to do, as well as some of your least favorite ones? Brock, maybe you can kick off this one.
Yeah, I usually like anything with speed. Like I love doing stuff like 4.48s, 4.12s. I like a lot of speed workouts. Anything like repeat miles, I'm not a fan of. Track, I'm more like a mid distance runner, so I try and get as much speed as I can. So I'm not a big fan of like any miles or 1200s. I like short distance stuff. Like there's this one workout we do where it's called like a 12-hour workout. We do like 200s, 4 300s, 3 400s, 2 600s. We just add up to 1200 for a bunch of different stuff, and I think it's really fun because I love getting my speed up. Like it's a whole different thing other than cross. Cross, I'm just trying to do like tempos, build up my speed, repeat miles, and I like the nice break that I could just do a bunch of 400s and it'll help me for track because I really like doing speed. And during cross country, you can't really do any speed, so it's just nice that I get to do all that now.
How about you, Baker?
All right, so I'm kind of the opposite of Brock. I train heavily for the 3200, which is the longest event in track. And some of my favorite workouts to do, my coach will have me do these shorter intervals. Like, they're like somewhat long, like 1,000 meters, 1,200 meters, 800 meters, but they'll be at 3K pace. So, we do enough of them to where it feels really challenging, but also really rewarding. We're doing them this year. We've done a few of them. They've been pretty challenging. Some of them I haven't been able to do properly, but they're really rewarding. Like last year we did them. They're some of the hardest workouts I've ever done, but I was able to drop my PR by a lot real and really establish myself to like most of Ohio that I can hang with the top guys. Some of the workouts I don't like to do though are we do this workout. It's that 800 piece, and it's 8 by 200 with very limited recovery, and I always do really bad on it. Like I'm not doing as well as I should be, but definitely those 3200 pace workouts are my favorite because I feel like I'm getting a lot stronger as I do them, and I can definitely see the results showing that.
You know, we're nearing the end of your high school career, so I want to reflect a little bit on the starts of your journeys. Blake and Brock, Blake first, Brock second. When did you start getting involved in track and field, and when did you start finding yourself falling in love with it in the sense that you took it a little bit more seriously, put a lot of more time into your craft?
The first time was indoor my freshman year because freshman year I didn't do cross country. I did soccer. I was a soccer kid my whole life, so I stuck with it. I didn't do cross country. I did cross country my 7th and 8th grade year, and I loved it, but I was still that soccer kid. And so I didn't run cross country, and then indoor track hit in like November, December, and I started to like it. And indoor that year, like I didn't know I was that good, and I came out and I ran a time that no one really expected, and then we ran the 4x8 at state that indoor season, and it just made me kind of fall in love with it to see like how good the success of that feels, how much potential I had. So then, like, that's when my heart finally got set on running and not soccer. So after that, I kind of just focused on running. I ended up doing cross country my sophomore year instead of soccer. But really, that like state 4x8 showing that how much potential I had really made me want to find out what I could do in cross country. And then I'd say when I really started to step it up was the start of my junior year because I was really good my sophomore year, but I didn't really know how to race as well as I did now. Like I would always go out too fast or something like that. I didn't really know how to eat my sophomore year. But then junior year, I really felt like I matured cross country season. I knew how to eat. I knew how to pace. I was running workouts like as fast as I can, as hard as I can, and I just felt really into it.
All right, so like Brock, I started running cross country in 7th grade, but I wasn't really good at it. Didn't really take it seriously. But then I went out for 7th grade track, and I like my friends pushed me to run a little bit more, and I was immediately like showing up, like showing results like that were a lot better than what my cross country times were. So got me really motivated to try harder. 8th grade year in cross country, I made a major commitment to like take the sport really seriously, and I ended up dropping like multiple minutes off every race that I ran, and from there I just like kept pushing myself, kept working hard, and kept getting to the person I am now. Freshman year, I don't like remember my goals were like make the varsity and run 1840, but out of nowhere I ran like 1657. It was the number 2 guy and almost made the regional meet as an individual. And then at that point I realized like there was no going back. Like I was fully committed to this. And sophomore year cross country, I ended up making the state meet. Junior year, I got all state. This senior year, I got all state. Still haven't made track state, but I'm working hard at that. And I think if I put together a good race of regionals, I definitely have a great chance to make state.
Absolutely. You guys both have a good opportunity to get out there this year. I know you guys are both well known throughout the area. You both have had a lot of success, and you're both very sporting. I know people from other teams respect both of you, and you're kind of like a little bit of a local celebrity just based on your sportsmanship. I know like everybody on our team appreciates Baker, and of course Brock. I know you pretty well from being around you over the past few years, so that's really appreciated from myself as a coach. Let's talk about some of the fun stuff with the sport here. Do either of you have any superstitions or any like I must do pre-meet type stuff before a big one? Blake, you want to start with anything for unique pre-meet stuff that you do?
All right, so usually 2 days before a race, I'll for dinner I'll have like some sort of carbohydrate, preferably pasta or something. Get myself energized for the meet 2 days before. Because during cross country season, we'd always have pasta dinners 2 days before meets, and I always felt like that helped me to get ready for the meet more. I'm also drinking a lot of electrolytes that day to like get myself energized, so I'm not feeling lacking in anything. And I always like do foam rolling and draining my legs, like putting them against the wall and draining them 2 days before a race to get them ready. Always getting like 8 to 9 hours of sleep 2 nights before a race, and just like doing everything I can to be ready for the race and feel energized and feel rested for the race whenever I'm racing.
Brock, anything unique for your pre-meet routines?
Oh yeah. All right. So there's something I started my sophomore year, beet juice, and it seems like now everyone in our area is kind of trying it after because sophomore year I went in the year um wanting to be like I was like barely varsity at the start of cross country, and I came out of nowhere around districts times, and that's when I started drinking like beet juice because my grandpa or dad or someone they said it. And they're like, all right, it'll help your breathing out. And I'm like, all right, I'll try it. And then the race after I tried that, I just blew up. Like, I was always like a good varsity guy. I'd always score good at events, but no one ever thought I'd make state or place anything like that high. So I've always been drinking beet juice before all my races ever since that. And it seems like I've convinced a good amount of people. I talked to a good amount of runners in our area, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you got me on beet juice," and it's just crazy because it's horrible. It tastes like dirt, but I have a lot of people that got on it because of me. So I've just been drinking it ever since.
Raising that flag for beet juice. Let's go. I want to talk about the people in your guys' lives, the role models that you guys have when you look for advice that you need, or just a little pick me up in the day. Who are some people in your life that you guys go to?
For me, it would probably be my Coach Armberger. So I didn't know indoor track was a thing back in like freshman year, and I saw him outside the parking lot because I lived by him. He's like why didn't you sign up for indoor track? I know you're kind of fast your middle school years. I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing. So he kind of started it all because I wouldn't have done indoor track. I wouldn't because of that, and I wouldn't have made state that year, which probably wouldn't have made me switch from cross country to soccer. And I just think he's an incredible coach. He used to do like race like reviews, like he'd review like all of our races. He's always giving us good tips. He just knows what he's talking about. He knows a ton of people. He helps me get shoes for half off. He works for ASIC, so he gets me shoes for half price, which is nice.
That's
And he's
close.
just always at our meets. He's always supporting us, and I feel like he's helped us train so much. And other people I want to thank are Coach Phillips. He's an amazing coach too. Coach Sypert here, you're amazing. And my grandparents, last of all, they've been incredible. They've always shown up to every one of my meets, and they're always screaming. And they sometimes have like a bell or something they like to ring, and they're just always there. And the one year, I think it was sophomore state. No, it was junior state for cross country. They showed up and they went into like a restricted area. They were on the start line ringing their bell when they weren't allowed there. It was only coaches and athletes, and somehow they found their way onto the state start line. So that was a great memory. And they've just always been there.
Man, they're brutal on that state start line too. When we were down there this year, I saw people coming over across the lake there. They were shooing everybody away immediately. So that's pretty amazing that they got down there to ring the bell for you.
Blake, what about you?
All right, so back like in 7th grade, I got to give a thing. Like my coach Richards, like his daughter's gonna be our future teammate at YSU next year, but he was my track coach in 7th grade. And this was back in like when I didn't take running that seriously, but he really showed me that like I have potential in the sport, and like that really motivated me to get better. And then Coach O'Brien's been my coach for the past 5 years. He's done an absolutely amazing job, like pushing me to my absolute limit, motivating me to get faster, teaching me how to run. Like it just goes on and on. There's also my other coaches that have been this way, Coach Rowley, Coach Lynch. They've been amazing as well, just getting like my mental aspect down and helping me push, push myself to the fullest. They're also they're also collegiate runners too, which also helps a lot. So, Coach Rowley just graduated from YSU. She's telling me like everything to expect, and it's getting me really excited to take my training and my journey to the next step. And I'm really excited. I also want to give a shout out to my dad too. Much like Brock's parents, he found a way to get into that restricted area at the state meet for the past 3 years, and I said it's like the most high maintenance meet ever. They literally have people rejecting you at the fence because you don't have a coach's bib and you can't get in. Like my mom said it best, their I don't care factor is the I care factor. Like my brother and his girlfriend this past year, they were trying to hop the fence to get in, but like they were yelling at them. Like the fact that my dad's gotten in there 3 years in a row just shows me his dedication to me. Like he's gone to like basically every race I've ever run. He's always bringing his camera, even though the quality's terrible. He's always yelling at me to run faster. Like he's probably been my biggest supporter ever.
That's great, good stuff, guys. I got one last question for the both of you. You're both standouts in the area, like I said earlier. What's the most important advice you could give to some 7th and 8th graders that are going to be entering the Canfield and Boardman programs next year? Brock, how about you start it off?
I would stress a lot of like team bonding. I feel like success is great, but this sport's supposed to be a great time. Try and hang out with your team as much as you can. Feel comfortable around them, because that's really what got me to love this sport. Just hang out with the team, know them, know them well. Like we do stuff like every week, almost like a few times a week, where we bond with each other. Like we'll go out to eat, we'll hang out for a bit, and I feel like it makes it a lot more fun, and it makes you want to do better and be there for your team. Like once I started to I'm like, all right, I gotta do good for this team. I love these boys, and I want to perform the best I can to help us win. And a lot of stuff, you need to get a lot of sleep. You need to eat well. Like, you could be the most talented runner ever, and you could suck because you're not eating well, you're not sleeping well, you don't take the sport seriously. You got to do as much as you can. Anything you can to get success, you have to do. Everything has to be perfect if you want to get that big PR, you want to run in college. You got to do as much research as you can if you just want to succeed.
I have a few words of wisdom. So, back when I started 7th grade, or like back when I started to take the sport seriously in the summer of 8th grade, I always had the goal of going to state, but knowing like my current skill level, I always told myself like that's pretty impossible. Like, how am I gonna do that? But like, if you choose to believe in that, it's like it becomes possible. Like, believe in yourself, be confident in yourself. Do not lose your confidence, because from personal experience, it can like hurt your performance pretty badly. So like, that's the most important thing in this sport. Your mentality. You can be like the most physically fit person and like do all the little things right, but if you have a bad mentality, you're almost guaranteed to have a bad race. Like, your mentality is everything in the sport. Like, good mentality means good results. When you have a good mentality, you break boundaries that you didn't even know you could break. Also, like, just have fun on the journey. Like, obviously I've been doing the sport for 6 years now, but I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't love every second of it. Like, I love the sport. I have so much fun with it. I've made so many friends along the way. Like, almost all of my core life memories are from the sport one way or another. Like, just have fun with it. When you have fun with the sport, it takes off all the stress you have of like trying to do well, trying to like just impress everyone, trying to impress your coaches or whatever. Like, when you're having fun, like the the end results just come as a side effect. Like, when you're shooting for goals, don't shoot. Just have fun. Like, you'll get those goals as a side effect if you're just having fun. Like, that's my biggest advice.
Love it, guys. One of the things I want to do, as we do at the end of all the profiles, I know you thanked your coaches, but I also want to give you the time to thank anyone else in your life that you haven't shouted out yet. That's how we end every player profile. So if there's anyone out there that you guys haven't thanked or shouted out in this interview that you guys want to, I'm going to give you the time to do that now.
I'd just like to thank my family, my coaches, all my family, all my coaches, my grandparents, all my friends in cross country, because they make me love this sport, and they make me want to come every day and work my butt off and run, because it's a lot. It's a lot to want to run, want to come out here, run like 8 miles a day, want to kill your body every day. So, and they make it fun. And so I'd like to thank them and just all the support from family and friends and coaches, because I wouldn't have done it. The one thing is, you could have all this talent and you could have bad coaching. And if you have bad coaching, you could never realize your full potential. But fortunately, we have great coaches here, so I could get in a good spot to succeed.
And just thanking all the supporters I've had, all the coaches, family, friends that have supported me on this way. Like, my teammates always pushing me every day at practice to get better. And, just like making the sport so fun and just keep wanting me to get better. Like, I just can't thank them enough.
Guys, we want to thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We appreciate both your time and middle of the day. We thank you so much. Thank you again, and we wish you the best of luck the rest of the season. We can't wait to talk to you again real soon.
Yeah. Good luck, guys.
Thank you.
Pulling for you guys to get into Dayton this year.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see you out there.
Thank you.
That was Blake Baker and Brock Farris from Canfield and Boardman, respectively. Some, like we said at the top, Coach, some rivals that are about to be teammates.
Yeah, I mean, they both represent their schools very well. And like I said, they're extremely sportsmanlike. I mean, distance runners, they band together no matter what. But those two are like elite ones. I know everybody knows them. My team personally is always excited to see Baker. I was really excited to make sure that we got Brock and Blake on here together, because I know what kind of relationship the two of them have. They are rivals, but they're going to do such great things at YSU. I really cannot wait to see what those two do down there together.
I feel like track and the other racing sports, cross country, swimming, it's probably a little bit easier than other sports to build those relationships with your opponents, because at the end of the day, the only way they beat you is being better than you. There's no, they're not pushing you. They're not doing the physical things of football, trying to be nice to a guy that just beat you up for 3 hours on a football field, But it's just, if they beat you, they're just faster than you in that day. So I think it's a lot easier to handle this day. That guy was faster than me. I'm gonna be a good sport to him because he didn't do anything to me. Like I said, it's a brotherhood, because I think that sport pushes you. You have to push your body to pass a little bit of its limits, and only runners know what they go through, right? So it's almost like a community, because only the fellow track and field athletes know what track and field athletes go through to be where they're at.
Especially the distance runners. Some of those guys are putting in north of 40 miles a week. I know some of those long runs get over 10 miles per long run there too. So those guys are really putting their bodies through it. But as long as they're taking care of themselves and doing things the right way, recovering like both of the guys just said, they can handle it, and good things are going to happen for them as their seasons go on.
As we transition into the next part of the episode, Coach, we had a lot go on over the weekend and over the last week since we last talked. Want to go over some of the big results and some of the big names that shined through over the week?
Well, there was a lot of big meets over the weekend. Locally, the biggest one was the Poland Invitational. A lot of our local athletes put on a complete show there. The Warren Harding Raiders, they were the champions on the boys and girls sides. There were some really incredible performances there. Hanzu, she's one of the hurdlers from Warren Harding. She's been one of the best ones around here for years now. She set a United States standard in both the high hurdles and the 300 hurdles. So I'm sure she'll be putting on a show once the postseason gets going here. Kaylee Richards, I think Blake was talking about her dad being one of his coaches, but she put on a show there in the 16 and the 32. Grace Bundy, she was great in the shot put in the discus. Carlisle from Salem, she did a great job in the discus. The girls' disc event there at the Poland Invite was crazy. They had 5 girls throw over 120 feet. That's huge for this time of the year. So a lot of our locals are doing really well. Cross from Mineral Ridge, Biggs from Poland, and then, like I said, Bundy from McDonald there. Continuing on with the sprint events at the Poland Invitational, Simpson from Niles, she won the 100, the 200, as well as she was anchoring the 4x1 relay there. Then Mia Melito from Girard, once again doing her thing, winning the high jump and the long jump there. Man, she is a special athlete. It just seems like every single week, not only is she hitting high marks, or long marks, I should say, but she's just beating all kinds of good athletes out there. So I'm really excited to see how her season ends up here at Dayton this year. On the guys' side from Poland, Mike Malone once again turned in a great race in the 300 hurdles. Madison, Madison from Salem, he turned in a great race in the 3200. He's also up for the big dogs this week. And then Mr. Big Dog from last week, Moorfield from South Range, another great race in that 200 there. He took home the W. Out of the area, there were a couple good meets. On Friday night, the Mayfield Invitational was there. Howland had a great meet there. Their boy hurdlers, they put on a show. They went 1, 2, 3 in the invite there, as well as Imogen DeBloy going 26:47 in the 200. She's a tough athlete. They're doing really good things over there in Howland. That entire program is very well coached, and if you don't bring it, bad things are going to happen to your team when you're up against Howland. Up in Avon, Fitch went up there to travel this week, and as always, Fitch Sprints doing their thing. Deani Thompson killing it there in the 300s. Megan Vadas going over 11 foot in the pole vault. Then you have Stallings killing it in the 110 hurdles and the 300 hurdles. And the freshman sensation, the Bryant, turns in a 1084 in the 100. That is cooking for this time of year, especially for a freshman in high school. He's going to be an absolute nightmare for everybody to deal with for 4 years. And then Sully's got back out there, turned into 157 in the 800. So Fitch is cooking at the right time. And, it was a pretty big weekend there. A lot of teams just got way faster. I'm really excited to see how all this stuff goes because, you usually don't get to some of the times that people are turning in right now for another couple of weeks. It was also one of the first weekends we've had where the weather was actually nice. So I know Friday night we had high 60s, and then Saturday turned into a gorgeous day after that morning rain. So it seems like all the athletes in the area came out to play, and we're seeing a lot of really good times and a lot of good performances right now. So there's a lot to look forward to moving forward.
Speaking of that weather at the Poland Invitational, I went there for softball, so I was at Poland, and there were like 60 plus buses there because there were a bunch of schools there. But we heard that in the morning they had to take everyone off for a lightning delay for an hour or so in the back end of the buses, get them back off the buses, restart the Invitational. I'm sure you've had to deal with lightning delays in your coaching career.
No, absolutely.
What's that like to have everyone like ready and geared up and in the momentum of a meet, and then have to go to the buses for an hour, await a lightning delay, and then come back out and try to start it all up again?
Well, I mean, you have to figure out a way to keep people interested, because I mean, if your body gets tight, and I mean things can go south really quick there. Luckily, we've found some ways to keep kids happy and ready to go during lightning delays. Several years ago, we went to Berea, and it kind of turned into like a karaoke party on the bus. We got off the bus, we warmed up again, and we turned in some really good times once we got going again. I mean, it's just kind of a mentality. I always tell the kids that when it gets to meet days, that you got yourselves beat up during workouts for the last several weeks, so you might as well come out and perform to your best when you're out there. Um, like I said, it's just keeping them interested, keeping them loose, keeping them happy, making sure they're drinking still, make sure they're eating, because there's like during lightning delays, especially if you pack a bunch of kids onto a bus, it gets very hot in there.
Yes.
And like the air gets sticky. It's just not a great situation in some situations, or in some of the meets that we've been to. But you got to make do. And I always tell the kids that are complaining about it being too hot, too cold, too wet, too windy. I always say the rain is affecting all 8 lanes. The wind is hitting all 8 lanes. It's not just you that has to compete in that. So it just goes back to what we were talking about with Sophia Yon last week. You have to have that positive mentality with everything, or it's going to let you get yourself beat. Baker even alluded to that today as well. If you think you're going to get beat, you're going to get beat. So whether it's the person in the lane next to you, or the heat, or the wind, you have to have a mentality that I can overcome this difficult thing that's in front of me.
In Poland, we also got the unfortunate reminder that shot puts can be very dangerous. We had an official catch a shot put in the leg, and it did not go very well. I wanted to just take the time to send good vibes to that official. I did not get the name, but yeah, when you're hurling a shot put, as far as you can throw it, that can get that's a projectile, and it can get dangerous if you're not paying attention like you should be, and it catches you in the leg. I think it broke her leg.
Yeah, I mean they're dangerous. I mean, we got news of Lakeview over the weekend as well. One of their 8th graders took a disc, I believe, in the head. I don't have all the details, so I don't want to get massacred for putting out false information. But I know that I've seen it happen. People get hit with discs, shots. I mean, it's tragic. Those things are heavy, and they're going. If you're a high level shot putter or discus thrower, you're putting some force into that as well. I'm sure you've seen videos on the internet too of people getting hit with a javelin. I mean,
yeah,
crazy things happen out there. You always got to keep your head on a swivel, but safety is always one of the big priorities anytime you have a meet or a practice or anything like that. So, yeah, hopefully our youngster from Lakeview and as well as that official both make speedy recoveries here.
That is when I pulled back my application to be a shot put official. No more. At that moment, I said, you know what? Not gonna do it. I had the application in, and I said no more. But one of the things that I also want to shout out, all that stuff that went on, the lightning delay, the unfortunate injury to an official, but the Poland staff and Brian Banfield, they all did a wonderful job organizing it all. They also had baseball there and softball there, so it was a really, busy, hectic, stressful day for the Poland Athletic Administration, but got to give a tip to the hat because they all did a wonderful job organizing it all and getting everything taken care of and done in a timely manner. So tip of the hat to Poland in a very busy day. We don't think athletic directors get enough credit for what they do during the busy times of a season when all three sports are going on at the same time at your school.
Yeah, that's Poland's always a great meet. So, and they always do a good job running it. So, yeah, tip of the hat to them. It's always been a good experience going over to Poland for their the Poland Classic there.
Coach, you alluded to our big dog winners. We had two of them, obviously, one for the girls' side, one from the boys' side. Faith Sullivan from Jackson Milton becomes the second Jackson Milton winner in the first 2 weeks. We had Ryan Romai win in week 1 from the boys' side. Now they have a girls' representative, which means they're pretty well represented already with Faith Sullivan winning on the girls' side of big dogs and Hudson Moorfield, the South Range runner that had a really good weekend as well. He wins Baird Brothers Big Dog of the Valley this week. If you stay tuned, pretty soon you'll see who the nominees are for the week ahead, and you make sure to get out there and vote for Big Dog of the Valley. ysnlive.com/Big Dogs. Coach, what can you say about Faith Sullivan and Hudson Moorfield and what it took for both of them to win, and just say a little bit about them and what they do so well?
Well, every time I see South Range and the results, you're always going to be looking for Hudson's name in there. Like I said, he won the 200 last weekend at the Poland Classic. It seems like he's getting a little bit better every single week, and he definitely earned it. He definitely earned that honor this past week there. They're doing great things over there in South Range. Like I said, Warren Harding was the meet champion, but the South Range boys were right behind them. So South Range being a smaller school, and I'm pretty sure Warren Harding's boys are the biggest boys school in the area. So for South Range to hang in there with them and just be on their tails the entire day is a pretty impressive feat. And then as for Faith Sullivan, Jackson Milton, she's been a great distance runner. I know her pretty well, actually. Her uncle is one of our assistant coaches, and Mr. Jake Lape. So I've gotten to know Faith very well over the years here. We're always, like I said, we always have a good cheering section for the kids that we know and the ones that put on a show every week. So I'm really proud of Faith to get that honor. I know she was the runner-up at County in the 800, the 1600, and the 3200 there. So I'm really hoping that she gets a couple more wins and she does really well for the rest of the season here.
Let's talk about the week ahead. What are some meets to look forward to before we talk again next week?
This week, the two big meets. Everybody in Trumbull County is going to be competing in the Trumbull County Classic, the Trumbull County Championship. It's a 2-day meet on Tuesday for the semifinals and then Thursday for the finals. So everybody from Trumbull County is going to be battling it out there. I'm really excited to see a lot of the races. Just looking at some of the entries, the sprint events on the male side, Liberty versus Harding versus Brookfield, and then some other kids sprinkled in there as well. You're going to see some really good sprint events there in the 1, the 2, the 4, the high hurdles, the 300 hurdles. You're going to see a show out there. The boys mile, it's going to be a tight race from the number 1 seed to the number 10 seed. They're separated by less than 7 seconds. So it's going to be a really hot mile on Thursday when they compete for the final. The 4x2, same thing. The boys 4x2, the top 10 times were all separated by almost less than a second there. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens with the sprint results over there. The boys 800 is going to be great. Once again, they're all pretty much the same seed times at the top. Can the McDonald boys throwers continue to put a show on? Those two guys are killing it out there. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they perform this weekend. You got Jones from Harding. He is a high jump, long jump specialist. And then I can't remember the boy's his first name, but Moy from Badger. The two of them are both 6'8" high jumpers, I believe. So that's going to be a show there.
Duncan Moy, coach, and Duncan Moy. He is we know him really well from basketball season. He's one of the best basketball players to ever come through Badger.
Yeah, they're gonna be putting on a show in the 4x8, and then when you get to the sprint events on the girls' side, once again Warren Harding. I want to see those girls go up against Simpson from Niles, and then Girard's going to be in the mix. I never count Coach Farr out over there at Girard. he's going to have his girls cooking. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what his sprinters, jumpers, and especially Gerard's 4x1. I know they put their feather in the hat for that race, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do. And then in the hurdle side, like I said, it's Hanzu's world. She's 2 seconds ahead of everybody else in the in both the 300 hurdles and the 100 hurdles. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what she can put out there this week. So it's going to be a good one. Trumbull County's always got good talent. And then again, you're going to bring in the McDonald girls distance versus the Maplewood distance squad. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how all those events go for all those schools out there. And everybody else in the area that's not going to be competing at the Trumbull County meet, the Optimist meet, the Optimist Invitational is going to be at Austintown Fitch this weekend. And you're going to be bringing in some big swingers over there. Typically, the Optimist has been one of the better meets across the state historically. So a lot of people will kind of like start to hit their stride at this point in the season. So you'll see like a Blake Baker just running his 3,200 there to see how he stacks up against people, or Brock Farris just running the 800 to see how he's stacking up against some of the better competition from across the state. St. V's is going to be there, Field, Garfield, Streetsboro, Worcester. The Spire Academy is bringing some sprinters down, so I'm really anticipating that to be a very good meet this Saturday as well. So there's going to be a lot of excitement, and it looks like the weather has finally broke, Coach. So hopefully these times just continue to get warmer, or continue to get hotter as the temperature gets warmer here. So hopefully that weather holds off, and we see a lot of good performances out of our local athletes again this weekend.
I think we've earned some good weather finally. I think we've gone through enough.
I definitely think so.
Coach, that does it for episode 3 of Running Wednesdays. We thank you for your time as always. Want to remind everyone that's tuning in to keep an eye on the social media accounts for the next batch of Big Dog of the Valley nominees on both the girls and the boys side. We did a great job, calibrating 6 more names, and it's hard narrowing down the whole field to 6 every week because there's a lot of talent, as Coach Sype has already pointed out really well. A lot of talent in the area. So we'll have 6 new names on the boys and girls side here soon on our social media pages. So stay tuned to that and vote at rysonlive.com/bigdogs. And then I promise you guys, we're teasing it next week. We're going to have a pretty big show. Fingers crossed if everything works out. We're going to have a pretty exciting show next week. You don't want to miss episode 4. Come back next Wednesday. We'll be here. Coach Sypert, Anthony Hartwig. Episode 3 of Running Wednesdays in the books. We'll see you all next week.